Hey, thanks for sticking with us. This is Glass City, home of Stanley Park, where the nuts chase the squirrels.
Welcome back. You're watching Glass City. My first guest today, and I got to tell you, I'm really pumped about having him on the show, was born on July 1st in a small town in Ontario, but he's a Vancouver-based actor. And of course, if anybody's born on Canada Day, can't get much more Canadian than that. I'm talking about actor Jared Keeso. Jared, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Greatly appreciate it. Now listen, you're a young man, but your body of work speaks volumes from what you've already done. Now, of course, the number one role that you've done in my eyes, of course, is playing Don Cherry, which we'll get into in a little bit here.
Okay.
And but first, you're the first guest on this show, so we're very honored to have you on board.
Hey, I'm really pumped, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's fantastic. Now listen, your latest project, you just finished wrapping up a film with none other than Steven Seagal.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that's kind of a light romantic comedy?
Yeah, definitely in the rom-com genre. I'll start by saying, Steven brought work to Vancouver for a lot of actors who, like in this time in the fall, there usually isn't a lot of work. He's the executive producer, he's the writer, the lead actor, and all-around nice guy. Now that said, it was unlike any on-set experience that I've ever had. I'll tell you a quick story. Steven's known to be
eccentric?
Eccentric, unpredictable in his fight scenes. So there's this one scene where we have some dialogue before the fight scene and we go into it and he grabs me like this and he says, "I'll just grab you like this and then the scene will fall apart." He's like, "You okay with that?" And I'm looking, I'm like, "No." He says, "Okay, what I'll do is I'll just grab you like this and then the scene will fall apart." And so I'm looking at this like 6'6", 240-pound guy with his Bigfoot hands around my 12-year-old Dutch boy wrists. And I'm thinking,
right.
I'm terrified, so I had to bail on it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Couldn't stand in for any physical contact with Steven.
Well, interesting. Hey, well, good experience nonetheless.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Always happy for the work.
So listen, you've worked, a lot of projects here in Canada, but also a lot south of the border. You were Smoking Aces 2 and a variety of different things. Let me ask you this: what is the biggest difference working on an American production as opposed to like a Canadian film?
The biggest difference that I've found with working on a Canadian picture as opposed to an American picture, in the U.S. it would be money and exposure. They've got kind of a system set up, a star system for creating celebrities, and we just don't have that in Canada. For example, if you are the lead of a big series, a successful series in the U.S., you've kind of made it. After that, you can kind of skip the audition process. Now you'll just have offers coming directly to your manager or agent, script, a dollar figure, you say yes or no.
You're not worried about next month's rent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Whereas in Canada, we don't have that star system set up. Like when I got the Don Cherry project, I thought, this is about as big as it gets around here. We had 1.5 million people watch both nights, but I was quite naive to think that I'd punched my meal ticket in Canada. You just get back in line, and I auditioned for Soldier number 1 or Thug number 3 quite regularly, and I'm happy for the work, but I found that it's just kind of impossible to make it in Canada. You just got to keep slugging.
You got to keep moving along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At what moment you were a young man when this happened, at what moment did you realize, I want to be an actor?
Well, it's kind of funny actually, because I honestly thought that I would be playing in the NHL up until I was 18 years old. I left home to play hockey. I lived in billet houses so I could play at the highest level possible and stuff. When I finished high school, it got kind of difficult because I really didn't excel in anything aside from hockey, and I thought, I've always done really well in drama class, so I thought I'll just try that. So I applied to the University of Waterloo. I got in, and less than a half semester later, goodbye.
Is that right?
It's kind of tough, because in a small town like Listowel, acting just isn't like a common career choice. So when I quit school, Mom had people coming up to her on the street saying, "I'm so sorry, I heard about Jared, it's terrible," but I made it work.
And you jumped in a Jeep, am I right about this? With a bunch of your friends.
Yeah.
You left Ontario and you headed for La La Land, Vancouver.
Yes.
And that must have been a heck of a trip. When you got here, were you a little overwhelmed? Were you like, uh-oh, did I make the right choice? Or did you have the conviction from the get-go that this is the direction you wanted to go in?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I never really stopped to second guess myself. I knew that when you get out here, what you do is you get a headshot and an agent. So I mean, I really didn't sleep until I had done that, and I got auditioning right away, and it was a fairly painless process.
Okay, fair enough. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back. You got a moment?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. You're watching Glass City. I'm PaulSundher. We'll be back after this.
Having a good time? Great! More to come after this with PaulSundher and Glass City.